Shipping, billing, admin, payroll, marketing. You're managing all the things, so why waste time sending important documents the old-fashioned way? Mail and ship when you want, how you want with Stamps.com. Print postage on demand 24/7 and schedule pickups from your office or home. Save up to 90% with automated rate shopping. That's why over 1 million small businesses trust Stamps.com. Go to Stamps.com and use code PODCAST to try Stamps.com risk-free for 60 days.
When engineers design a bridge, they don't just calculate for the weight of the cars driving over it, right?
Right, they have to run stress tests for all the stuff you can't easily see.
Exactly. Like high winds or microscopic fractures in the concrete, even the shifting of the tectonic plates underneath. You build for stability, but you really have to plan for immense, invisible pressure.
And it's rarely the visible load that brings a structure down. It's usually those underlying, unaddressed tensions.
Yeah, which is exactly why we're here. Welcome to today's Deep Dive. It is Saturday, August 8, 2026, and we are unpacking a massive shift in youth expectations across India, plus some major geopolitical moves and critical economic updates that will absolutely affect your wallet.
We are so thrilled you're joining us for this. Because looking at the stack of sources we're analyzing today, we're essentially watching a real-time stress test of multiple systems at once.
Yeah, the domestic anxieties are definitely not contained anymore. Let's actually start with a very visible stress test happening right now in Ranchi. I was reading a report from the Telegraph about this.
Oh, the student protests.
Yeah, exactly. The Telegraph detailed how government job aspirants have been protesting for 15 straight days at the Jaipal Singh Munda Stadium.
15 days, wow.
They're demanding action over alleged irregularities in the JPSC and JSSC recruitment exams. It's even gained, cultural momentum.
Yeah, didn't Piyush Mishra visit them?
He did, the actor and singer. He visited a student leader, Devendranath Mato, who was on a hunger strike, and Mishra even performed his anthem, Aram Hai Prachand, for the crowd. They're actually threatening to march to the state assembly by August 10th.
You really have to look at the mechanics of what these exams represent, For millions of young people, clearing a state public service commission exam isn't just about getting a job.
Right, it's huge.
It's the singular defining ticket out of generational poverty. It provides unmatched economic security. So when you allege systemic discrepancies in that evaluation process, you aren't just questioning a test score.
You're kind of dismantling the whole belief that hard work leads to a fair outcome.
Exactly. And Mishra actually mentioned that these protests are identical in spirit to the demonstrations at Delhi's Jantar Mantar. The underlying anxiety is that the meritocratic institutions are just fundamentally broken.
And that feeling of being trapped in a broken system seems to be exactly what national politicians are trying to tap into right now.
Oh, definitely.
I saw this piece in India today about Congress leader Rahul Gandhi. He was addressing students in Prayagraj at a program called Chatran Ki Gunj.
Right, I saw some clips of that.
Yeah, and according to India Today, he used a really fascinating metaphor. He described India's 40 crore youth as being trapped in a chakravyuh, like an inescapable labyrinth.
A labyrinth of expensive education and limited jobs, right?
Exactly. And recurring paper leaks. He built his whole speech on the themes of Dar, data, and Dullah, so pain, data, and wealth.
The chakravyuh metaphor is incredibly potent because it perfectly describes structural entrapment. I mean, you spend money you don't have on tuition only to find the exam leaked, forcing you back to square one with mounting debt.
It's a vicious cycle.
It really is. But notice the immediate political countermaneuver here. BJP leader Amit Malviya criticized Gandhi for this.
Oh, what did he say?
He essentially questioned why Gandhi was giving speeches in Uttar Pradesh instead of visiting the actual protesting students in Jharkhand, which, is a state governed by a Congress-allied coalition.
Ah, so it instantly becomes a battle over narrative ownership.
Precisely. The opposition is framing this as a sweeping national macroeconomic failure that requires structural reform.
While the ruling party points to, immediate local governance responsibilities in opposition-held states.
Exactly. But for the young voters caught in the middle, the political theater doesn't solve the immediate crisis at all. It just signals that their economic anxiety is now the absolute epicenter of the battle for first-time votes.
Well, while domestic leaders are intensely courting that youth vote at home, the very top of the government is simultaneously managing some pretty high-stakes partnerships abroad.
The U.S. relations.
Yeah. As per the Deccan Chronicle, Prime Minister Narendra Modi just held a phone call with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance.
Right. Vance just had a son, didn't he?
He did, yeah. Modi congratulated him on that. But structurally, they discussed advancing the India-U.S. Comprehensive Global Strategic Partnership.
Which is a massive portfolio.
It is, and I often wonder, with a relationship that spans defense, technology, and regional security, what is the actual strategic utility of these routine top-level check-ins?
I mean, honestly, it acts as a diplomatic shock absorber.
How so?
Well, the India-U.S. relationship is incredibly complex. On one hand, you have this deep collaboration on emerging tech and regional security, but on the other hand, there's constant friction over trade tariffs and India's strategic autonomy, specifically our relationship with Russia.
Right, the oil imports and all that.
Exactly. So by maintaining a personal rapport at the highest executive level, both nations ensure that lower-level bureaucratic disagreements don't derail the macro alliance.
So it's about keeping the big picture intact.
Yeah, it allows India to signal alignment with the U.S. on the Indo-Pacific without locking itself into a formal, restrictive military treaty.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, moving from high-level international diplomacy to a very sensitive executive decision at the state level, we have a legal situation where strict procedures are colliding with humanitarian appeals.
This is the Punjab case, right?
Yeah. According to the Times of India, Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann has formally written to Governor Gulab Chand Kataria.
Seeking parole.
Yes, seeking a 10-day parole for Jagtar Singh Hawara. Hawara is a high-profile convict. He was a key conspirator in the 1995 assassination of former Punjab Chief Minister Beant Singh.
Which killed 17 people.
Right. He was given a death sentence in 2007, which was commuted to life in 2010. The request is specifically so he can visit his aging, severely ill mother.
The legal mechanics here are just incredibly fraught. The High Court has actually instructed authorities to consider this parole application.
But it's not just a simple administrative checkbox, is it?
Not at all. In cases of terrorism and assassination, executive decisions carry massive political and social weight. The core debate is whether the state's capacity for humanitarian grace should have a hard limit.
I mean, supporters argue that the right to see a dying parent is a fundamental human right, that it applies universally, regardless of the crime.
They do. But critics argue that the gravity of a human bomb blast on a state secretariat requires strict, unyielding confinement to maintain the deterrent power of the justice system. The state really has to weigh legal precedent against the risk of public outrage.
That tension balancing legal controversies with public goodwill is actually playing out in a completely different context right now in Assam.
Oh, with the floods.
Yeah, they're dealing with devastating floods. Hindustan Times says that comedian Samay Raina recently donated 10 lakh rupees to the Chief Minister's Relief Fund.
Wow, that's a significant donation. The floods have been horrific. I think 98 people dead and over 1.55 lakh affected.
Yeah, with Golaghat being the worst hit. Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma actually shared the RTGS receipt on X and publicly thanked Raina for his contribution.
But there's an underlying controversy here.
There is.
Well, Raina currently has an obscenity FIR filed against him in Assam from 2025, stemming from his show, India's Got Latent.
Right, and now, because of this highly publicized donation, online users are actively urging the chief minister to drop the FIR.
It creates a fascinating debate about modern public relations and philanthropy. Does a major financial contribution during a crisis essentially purchase a clean legal slate?
It's a tricky precedent to set, though it does highlight this broader expectation we have for public figures to step in during crises. I know actors like Randeep Hooda and Bhumi Pednekar are also on the ground distributing supplies.
Seeing them step up is great, but intertwining disaster relief with ongoing police investigations turns civic duty into a transactional legal defense, which is a very gray area.
Definitely. Speaking of immense expectations being placed on people, the Prime Minister just directly addressed the next generation of engineers, and the mandate is heavy.
This was at IIT Delhi.
Yeah. According to The Hindu, Modi addressed over 3,000 graduates, including 587 PhD scholars at IIT Delhi's 57th convocation.
Quite the crowd.
Yeah. And he inaugurated the Parampragya AI supercomputer in Sonipat, urged students to become solution providers, and cited massive research funding targets, like the 1 lakh crore rupee Anusandhan National Research Foundation.
But we really need to talk about the environment of that speech.
The security was intense, wasn't it?
Unprecedented. Multi-layered metal detectors, severe airspace monitoring. This is a direct fallout from those massive youth protests we discussed earlier, which recently forced the education minister's resignation.
It's such a massive contradiction to place on the shoulders of Gen Z.
How?
Well, on one hand, you are telling these graduates they're the vanguard of the future. They have to drive sectors from semiconductors to deep-sea exploration. But during the same speech, they were cautioned against comparing salaries on social media.
I see.
You can't task a generation with building the most advanced technology while simultaneously demanding they ignore their own economic reality and the fierce competition of the job market.
The psychological burden is just immense. They're expected to be global innovators, but operating in an environment where basic entrance exams are vulnerable.
And while those graduates are tasked with building the technologies of the future, those same technologies are currently presenting severe risks to national security right now.
Are you talking about the honey trap case?
I am. The New Indian Express reports that Delhi police have filed a charge sheet against a serving IAF wing commander. He was arrested back on May 30 for allegedly passing sensitive info to a Pakistani operative.
The Air Force had him under internal surveillance for months, right?
Yeah, they did. The officer was approached on social media during a period of personal difficulty, and it escalated from there.
It really emphasizes our digital vulnerability. I mean, modern espionage isn't always cinematic. It's often just a smartphone in an operational area.
And the ripple effect is what's terrifying. This opened a second line of inquiry into another officer who the accused allegedly convinced to install a seemingly innocuous app.
Which likely contained spyware.
Exactly.
This illustrates the massive risk of mobile devices on military bases. It sparks a huge debate between necessary internal surveillance and an officer's right to privacy. When a single malicious file can compromise national security, that line basically vanishes.
Which is why countering these modern threats requires completely overhauling our defense capabilities.
Yeah.
I was reading in the Telegraph about a new report from the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Defense.
Okay, what's the plan?
India's Ministry of Defense wants to join the French-led Future Combat Air System, or FCAS. The IAF's budget share is actually rising to 10.80% by 2026-27 to support this.
To understand why this matters, we have to define what sixth generation actually means.
It's not just flying faster, is it?
Not at all. Sixth gen involves extreme stealth, near-space operations, and autonomy like the ability to command swarms of drones. There are two main global consortia building this, one led by the UK, Italy, and Japan, and the other by France and Germany. India wants a seat at the table with the latter.
But here's my question. How does spending billions to join a foreign consortium balance against India's indigenous advanced medium combat aircraft program? The AMCA just completed its design phase.
That is the ultimate multi-billion-dollar tension. The parliamentary committee explicitly wants domestic development, but building advanced tech from scratch takes decades. The military knows it can't wait 20 years while adversaries upgrade today.
So they have to balance immediate deterrence with long-term self-reliance.
Exactly.
Just as the military is looking at this massive structural overhaul, the structural makeup of India's political representation is facing its own fierce timeline-driven debate.
The women's quota clash.
Yes. The Hindu reports a pretty intense clash on X between Union Minister Kiran Rijiju and Rahul Gandhi over the women's reservation bill.
Gandhi wants it implemented immediately, right?
It does. But Rijiju insists it must wait for a post-2026 census delimitation, which pushes implementation to at least 2029 or 2034.
Right, and we have to clarify the parliamentary math here. The 131st Amendment bill, which aimed to expand the Lok Sabha to 850 seats to accommodate this 33% quota, was actually defeated in April by the NDA bloc.
Which sounds counterintuitive. Why block a bill that increases representation?
Because the opposition argues that linking the women's quota to delimitation acts as a sort of Trojan horse. Delimitation redistributes seats based on population. They feel it unfairly punishes states that successfully controlled their population growth.
And that exact fear over delimitation and shifting power dynamics has triggered a huge, united regional pushback in the South.
Right, Tamil Nadu just had a major meeting about this.
They did. As per the Times of India, Tamil Nadu CMC Joseph Vijay convened a meeting for state MPs specifically to oppose this delimitation bill.
Even though the bill doesn't technically exist yet.
Right. Karti Chidambaram noted that 21 of the 57 MPs attended, and they were unanimous in demanding that Tamil Nadu's 39 Lok Sabha seats remain unchanged.
It's worth noting the political drama, though. The DMK and AIEDMK boycotted the meeting entirely, calling it a hurriedly staged drama.
Because there's no actual bill to fight yet.
Exactly. But it exposes this core Southern anxiety. Imagine doing a group project, you finish early and efficiently, and the teacher rewards the students who took twice as long by giving them control of the grade.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
The Southern states implemented robust family planning decades ago. Now, under delimitation, faster-growing northern states will gain dozens of new parliamentary seats, while southern states will lose their national political voice. They're being penalized for good governance.
Well, while Southern politicians fight to lock down their current spots, a young Southern batter is making an undeniable case for a highly coveted spot on the pitch.
Devdutt Patikal.
Yes. Krishinfo states that Patikal just put on a dominant performance against the Sri Lanka cricket X-Way. He scored a 121-ball century, eventually retiring out on 103.
And he walked in at 0 for 1, right? That's incredible pressure.
Huge pressure. But he built solid partnerships with KL Rahul and Ravindra Jadeja and showcased some really excellent sweeping against spin.
The stakes here are just massive. He is vying to replace the injured B. Sai Sudhirhas at number 3 for the Galley test.
And Galley is a tough pitch.
Very. But Patikal has the stats. He averaged 92.66 in the 23-24 Ranji season. Beyond that, his left-handedness aligns perfectly with Coach Gautam Gambhir's top-order strategy.
How so?
Having a left-hander disrupts the bowler's rhythm, especially against traditional spin. It's a strategic maneuver that could pay off big.
In the U.S., there's a break-in every 26 seconds. But when intruders step near, Simply Safe Home Security steps up.
Stop. This is Simply Safe. Police are on the way.
Using AI alerts, U.S.-based live agents help deter break-ins. Simply Safe, no long-term contracts. Save 50% on your new system with professional monitoring at simplysafe.com/Spotify or with promo code Spotify.
Outdoor deterrence requires a Simply Safe Active Guard outdoor protection plan starting at $49.99 a month. Visit simplysafe.com/licenses for alarm license information. Tennessee 2012.
From strategic maneuvers on the cricket pitch, we really need to shift to some incredibly aggressive geopolitical hardball aimed squarely at India's economy.
This is the U.S. sanctions bill.
Yeah, it's huge. According to The Hindu, the U.S. Senate advanced a sanctions package by an 86-11 vote. It could impose 100% tariffs on countries importing Russian oil.
And India definitely qualifies for that.
We do. We sourced over 50% of our oil from Russia in June 2026. If enacted, this bill gives countries a 30-day window to stop imports completely.
The economic shock this represents is hard to overstate. I mean, India is already facing a 10% penalty tariff for forced labor-linked imports.
But shifting half of our energy supply in 30 days, is that even logistically possible?
It's virtually impossible. Oil supply chains rely on long-term maritime logistics. Plus, finding alternative sources right now is heavily constrained by what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz.
Which is precisely where the next global crisis is escalating. Yep. CNBC reports that Iran has laid out some very strict conditions to reopen the strait to commercial traffic.
After they attacked that UAE tanker.
Yes. They're demanding the U.S. lift its naval blockade, pay reparations, and completely withdraw forces. U.S. VP J.D. Vance responded by saying the U.S. will verify rather than trust any Iranian demining and traffic schemes.
This connects directly to the listener's wallet.
How bad is it?
Ship traffic through the strait dropped 33% just on Friday. That strains reserves instantly. Brent crude is already sitting at $83.55. With the 60-day interim negotiation period expiring, the tension is just boiling over.
And as the U.S. applies global pressure on trade and shipping there, they are also looking inward, opposing regulatory changes that could severely disrupt thousands of Indian professionals.
The H-1B visa changes.
Right. According to the Deccan Chronicle, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security is proposing to eliminate the 60-day grace period for laid-off H-1B workers.
Meaning they'd be forced to leave immediately upon termination.
Exactly.
The disproportionate impact on Indians is staggering. Indians made up almost 70% of the 406,348 approved applications in 2025.
70%. Wow.
Yeah. Immigration attorney Srinivas Kumar criticized the move as very inhuman, especially given the widespread layoffs happening in the tech sector right now. It's pulling the rug out from under entire families.
While the Indian tech workforce faces mounting instability abroad, back home, the government is grappling with how to financially sustain its own massive digital ecosystem.
UPI.
Yes, UPI. The Times of India reports that the government issued an August 9 clarification about a proposed merchant discount rate, or MDR, on UPI transactions.
Are they finally charging fees?
Well, they say any fee will be nominal, potentially 0.25% to 0.4%, and threshold-based, meaning only for transactions above 2,000 rupees. And it's limited to specific merchants. They stress that person-to-person payments will remain absolutely free.
There is a massive underlying tug-of-war here. The government denies pressure from Visa and MasterCard, who charge up to 2%, but the banks desperately need to fund the operational costs of the UPI infrastructure.
It's expensive to run, right?
Incredibly expensive. But it's a delicate balance. Introducing fees even small ones, could really slow down rural digital payment adoption. If merchants refuse UPI to avoid the fee, we step backward.
It's also incredibly interconnected.
Notice how all these friction points overlap today. The very digital infrastructure we use flawlessly, like UPI, is searching for sustainable funding.
Right.
Meanwhile, the youth protesting for fair jobs in Jharkhand are the exact same demographic expected to build our AI future at IIT Delhi.
All while trying to navigate global economic tariffs and tech layoffs abroad.
Exactly. It makes you wonder which of these systems is going to have to give first.
Something to definitely mull over this week. Thank you for taking the plunge with us on today's deep dive. We'll be back next time to keep unpacking it all for you.